Viola Bennet. Chapter 23. Life will become what you love. The following spring, morning light streamed through the glass facade of the Bremen International Exhibition Center, gilding the twin halls with quiet anticipation. Banners fluttered in the soft spring wind. Hall 6, Viola Bennet, the launch of a new era. Hall 7, Mars and the Origin of Life, an MD Sand discovery unveiled. Inside, two worlds unfolded side by side. In Hall 6, light reigned supreme. Spotlights fanned across a crystalline runway where models glided in pale silks, their necks and wrists shimmering with Viola Bennet's creations, luminous arcs of pearl and stone that caught the light like whispers of the moon. Backstage, Viola stood in a gown of soft radiance, a jewel of her own design glowing at her throat. She took a quiet breath, ready to step out with the final group of models. From behind the curtain, she watched the audience, their smiles, their quiet awe, the shimmer of camera flashes, and felt a tide of calm gratitude rise within her. Across the corridor, in Hall 7, the air carried a different rhythm. The vast screen glowed with the red hue of Martian dust. Under its light, Dr. Elias Meyer adjusted the microphone, calm, measured, his voice steady with conviction. Around him, holographic projections rotated, the Martian rock sample, the Olduvai inscription, fragments of time and space woven by science and wonder. The hall was filled with scientists, students, and journalists, people who came not merely to see data, but to touch the edge of a mystery. Between the two halls, separated only by a glass walkway, light and fire reflected one another. Art and science were speaking in the same tongue. One sought to capture beauty, the other to understand it. And somewhere in that shared heartbeat of discovery, Viola and Elias were telling the same story, of memory, endurance, and love that reached beyond time and distance. The room darkened. A single note, deep, luminous, like a heartbeat beneath water filled Hall 6. A ribbon of light unfurled across the runway, gliding like a comet's tail. Moonlit whispers. Pearls, gemstones, and threads of pure silver intertwined like a quiet galaxy, each curve capturing the rhythm of starlight. Every pattern glowed with celestial grace, not dazzling, but steady, eternal. Viola's voice drifted softly through the speakers. Light found in stillness. Rosé Prelude. The runway bloomed in hues of rose and ivory. Madagascan quartz and lilac pearls shimmered like tender thoughts taking form. Viola's voice whispered again. Love that endured distance. Red Sonata. The lights deepened to a Martian red. The jewelry blazed with red agate and pearl, bold, molten, reborn from fire. From fire came renewal. When the music faded, applause rose like a tide. Viola stepped into the light, no longer as a designer seeking praise, but as a woman who had learned what love truly means. A journalist raised her hand. Ms. Bennet, she asked, what unites your collections? Viola smiled, her gaze calm and bright. They're all stories of memory, she said. From Mars to Earth, from chaos to creation, from being to the eternal. For a moment, the hall was utterly still. Then came the applause, loud and deep, like the echo of something that mattered. Across the glass corridor, Hall 7 pulsed with a different kind of awe. The red glow of Martian dust bathed the space, and Elias Meyer stood at the center, a calm presence amid projections of rock, star maps, and ancient inscriptions. 8 years prior, Viola's discovery in Olduvai Gorge, the etched stone fragments in Tanzania, had seemed like an isolated whisper of history. Now, side by side, they hummed in resonance with the Martian samples retrieved and returned to Earth. Elias gestured toward the enlarged hologram of the Martian rock and Olduvai stone. The delicate etchings, faint but deliberate, mirrored the markings. The cosmological constant represented time, 2.6 million years ago. For a moment, the hall was still. Scientists leaned forward, journalists held their breath. These inscriptions, Elias began, voice steady, are not random. Researched by multidiscipline experts, they mark a migration, a flight from a catastrophe. 2.6 million years ago, Mars faced a disaster it could not recover from. Some of its inhabitants recorded their exodus, their despair and hope, in stone. They left for the universe in the hope of life, and part of them arrived on Earth. A ripple passed through the audience. A digital animation projected the ancient Martian settlement like collapsing images, while red rock lifted from the scarred surface. The cuneiform-like inscription reads, "Escape." Across the hall, the Olduvai rock appeared, a quiet echo, also cuneiform-like inscription on the stone. "Remember the disaster of the distant star. Rebuild the order. Make it eternal." These are not just relics, Elias continued. They are messages, warnings, memories, instructions. Life fled a dying planet. They arrived on Earth and inscribed their arrival in this cradle of biodiversity. The echoes of their survival have been waiting for us to hear them. People in the room seemed to hold their collective breath. Elias allowed a pause before delivering the line that would reverberate in every mind present. The real discovery is not that Mars was once like Earth, but that Earth is still here. We found an echo of a lost world. Now, our duty is to ensure this blue planet never becomes the next echo. For a heartbeat, silence reigned. Then, as if released from the weight of that revelation, the hall erupted, applause rising, crashing like waves across red-lit walls. The sound carried through the glass corridor, faintly brushing Hall 6, where Viola's audience still shimmered in the afterglow of light and music. Elias allowed himself a quiet exhale, glancing at the edge of the crowd. The projections shifted, showing the reconstructed Martian migration alongside Earth's Olduvai record, their mirrored carvings glowing softly. The story was clear: the ancestors of life, whether Martian or terrestrial, had sought to preserve hope and continuity in the face of oblivion. And now, their echo had arrived here, urging humanity to cherish, protect, and repair the fragile blue world still under their feet. From somewhere deep in the hall, an audience whispered, almost to herself, "It's as if time itself is speaking to us." The applause settled into murmurs of awe, reflections, and soft conversation. And as the red glow of Mars faded into the soft white of the exhibition lights, the echo of discovery, personal, scientific, and cosmic, lingered in the air, ready to carry them all into the next chapter of life they were meant to build. Amid the applause, Elias's eyes caught familiar faces threading through the crowd, old friends from his American research team. David and Nicole had come to support him, to witness the unveiling not just of discoveries, but of everything that had grown between them in years of shared curiosity and quiet devotion. An incredible scientific breakthrough, isn't it? Nicole said as she rested her chin on her palm. She turned to David. "I am so proud of it, and we've all been in this team." She shared a kiss with David. "I used to think love had to feel like a massive scientific breakthrough," she said, leaning into him, her voice soft but certain. "But it's really just this, the quiet, the certainty, knowing you're here." David squeezed her hand, a gesture both gentle and resolute. "The best breakthroughs are the ones that last, Nicole. And we are just getting started." She had finally understood love. It wasn't blind infatuation, nor the pursuit of some unreachable Mars genius. It was the grounded, steady companionship of David. She no longer needed a myth, she needed ordinary happiness. They laughed quietly, and for a moment, the vastness of Mars, the weight of ancient echoes, and the brilliance of discoveries all melted into a simple human warmth. Around them, the hall still hummed with curiosity and applause, yet here, in a corner of that immense space, love felt tangible, grounded and enduring. Elias glanced at them, a small knowing smile tugging at his lips. It was about presence, patience, and the quiet certainty that someone would meet you, hand in hand, as you walked through the unknown. From the red Mars rock to the red glow of red sonata still lingering in the other exhibition hall, Lisa and Javier sat quietly near the stage, their presence both understated and graceful, not to intrude, but to bear witness, to growth, celebration, and the reconciliation of past wounds. Javier's eyes immediately found Viola, and for a fleeting instant, the blinding intense heat of their past flared, the fiery moments of love, the raw arguments, the desperate longing. But the familiar flames no longer consumed, they merely warmed the memory. Time, fear, and near tragedy had forged their bond into something gentler. Respect, gratitude, and understanding. Lisa, seated beside him, watched with tender pride. She was his new steady anchor, and her unconditional love had not only saved him but earned them this quiet peace. Viola felt a wave of serene contentment wash over her. She approached them, offering a genuine sisterly hug to Lisa, and a brief weighted embrace to Javier. Every moment, the painful and the beautiful, had led them to this convergence. Now, beneath the pulsing, crimson wash of the red sonata collection, past and present could finally breathe together. Javier offered a cautious tentative smile, his gaze softening with relief. "Viola, may we talk, just for a moment?" His voice was low, carrying the immense, careful weight of everything left unsaid. "Of course," Viola said, her composure absolute, following him to a quiet corner near the edge of the exhibit. "I am truly happy for you, Javier," Viola said at first. Her eyes stayed on him, newly awake from the coma. His body seemed still weak, and somehow already a little older than before. "And I'm happy for you as well." He exhaled, a low steadying sigh, finally letting his shoulders drop their long-held tension. "Thank you for the miracle of saving me after the crash. Even after I had caused you so much pain." His eyes, usually so fervent, glimmered with remorse and grateful affection. Viola met his gaze, serene and warm. "At that dangerous moment, I couldn't, and I wouldn't, be careless about you." Javier took a measured step closer, his artistic hands clasping behind his back in a show of restraint. "I won't ask for forgiveness, Viola, but I need you to know, I never regret a single flash of that fire. The marvelous experiences, the inspiration you brought to me were real, and they are worth all the cost to me. But I understand my fervor burned you. You deserve a love that grants freedom and peace. I wish you all the best." Viola smiled gently, a tender reflection in her eyes. "Thank you for showing me love in its fiercest form. All of it led me to find my peace today." She reached into a small velvet pouch and drew out a delicate necklace. The polished stone, a river-smoothed agate, glowing with the muted warmth of the African sun, was a remnant from the beach where they had first met. "Please regard it as the guardian of fire," Viola said softly. "Like our ancestors who tamed flame with stones. Let it remind you to keep your art, your passion, your love and your fire alive and to protect what truly matters. May it guard the life you are building with Lisa. Her love for you is unconditional. She deserves all the love you can give." "Thank you." Viola. Javier's hand reached out. Their fingers touched, a brief and wordless reconciliation. The fierce light of their past softened into a steady glow of respect. They embraced a final tender convergence of their histories, a hug that carried apology, understanding, shared warmth, and an absolute farewell. As they pulled apart, Javier held her gaze for one last beat and offered a gentle, grateful smile. The brilliant fire of their passion had faded into a soft and enduring glow. Hearts were healed, journeys redeemed, and the lives they had chosen stretched ahead, luminous and unbroken, filled with the quiet promise of love found in stillness. When a fire that once raged across the earth shrinks into a lone ember, you feel sorrow for the ground it charred. And still, you ache to kindle a small campfire from what remains. So please, please don't disappear into smoke. Smoke is too chilling, too silent, too steeped in despair. In that crimson-lit corner, they closed a chapter, not with regret, but with grace. After the exhibition, Viola and Elias lingered at the entrance with their friends, Lisa and Javier, Nicole and David, exchanging warm embraces and quiet laughter beneath the fading lights of the hall. There was no grand farewell, only the gentle understanding and wishes that they had all arrived at their own happiness. Lisa's smile was serene, Javier's eyes soft with gratitude. Nicole clung to David's arm, their joy simple and unspoken. Viola and Elias met each of their gazes in turn, sensing how the years, the trials, and the love had bound them all in invisible harmony. When the others finally departed, Viola and Elias remained for a moment on the empty steps, the city lights flickering like constellations fallen to earth. He looked at her, his voice low but steady. "We made it." Viola smiled, a quiet warmth spreading through her. She leaned into his arms, no urgency, no fear, just that still certain kind of closeness that feels like settled peace. After that, they didn't head home. Instead, they drove to Metalhenge, the highest point at the edge of the city, a place that seemed to bridge the earth beneath their feet and the vast cosmos above. The highland air was crisp, carrying the faint metallic scent of the towering Metalhenge pillars. They rose like sentinels from the earth, probes of both the past and the future, their surfaces catching the silver light of the stars. Hand in hand, Elias and Viola stood in the midst of the steel colonnade, their faces lifted to the sky. Above them, the Milky Way stretched like a river of light, tracing paths that could have been the escape routes of ancient Martian exiles, or the trajectories of every dream and desire humanity had ever sent into the cosmos. Elias reached into his pocket and pulled out his phone. A live image from Mars flickered on the screen, showing a red rock inscribed with marks that had endured millions of years and miles. Viola touched the screen, her voice trembling with wonder. "It's like seeing what our ancestors left behind, a bridge across time." "Our bridge is finally built, permanent and strong," he whispered. "And now there's nowhere else I want to be but here, telling you I love you so much." His voice was low, threaded with tenderness and relief. "And we have finally stopped missing each other." He lowered his head and pressed a deep reverent kiss to her lips. "I love you too, Elias," Viola softly replied. She tilted her head, her gaze tracing the infinite curve of the galaxy above. A faint hum escaped her lips, the notes of moonlit, her song of confession, hope, and self-reconciliation. In that moment, the cosmos seemed to bend around them, folding the grandeur of discovery into the intimacy of their touch. Their fingers intertwined, heartbeats echoing in the vast quiet. She thought of Earth, so small yet alive beneath the endless black. She thought of Mars, of exiles and survivors, of civilizations long vanished, and the fragile beauty of life that persisted against all odds. She thought of love, fleeting, eternal, impermanent, essential. And she understood, fully, that all of it, the stars, the stones, the music, the heart, was theirs to hold, theirs to honor, theirs to protect. Somewhere between love and discovery, between passion and patience, they had found their place. As the night stretched on, The galaxy seemed to echo back, the universe had always been listening. Softly, Viola whispered. Das Leben wird zu dem, was du liebst. Life becomes what you love. The words lingered in the night, fading into the sweep of the Milky Way, into the cold gleam of Metalhenge, into the endless mystery of the universe. Around them, the pillars shimmered, bridging past and future, heaven and earth, science and art, soul and love. Stars stretched endlessly above, their light glinting off the towering metal monoliths. Elias knelt, the ring gleaming in his hand. Time held its breath for a heartbeat as his eyes met hers. Viola, he said softly, will you marry me?